Today's date is March 13th, 2025. The time is 10:02 a.m. In attendance are Commissioners Eberline, Duncan, and Matari. I'm going to call this meeting to order. There will not be any chairman's opening remarks today. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Poll for conflicts of interest? None. Commissioner Eberline?
Nope.
None here. Okay, first up is a public hearing for ORA 24-0004. It's an interim ordinance, minimum lot within Coeur d'Alene Tribe or Tribal Reservation. And Director Callahan.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone. The big picture takeaway of this is the interim ordinance in front of you keeps what's on the books today and has been since July of last year exactly the way it is. That's really the takeaway. But there's context to this you need to know in order to fully understand it. There are really three ordinances in play here. Going back to the rezoning of the tribe in the summer of last year, that ordinance set a certain minimum lot size in place in the tribal area. Then 1 month later, we had another ordinance that was 598. The first one was 596. So 598 dealt with the family exemption. You'll recall created this anomaly where we had the family exemption and the tribal rezoning working against each other. So we fixed that with ordinance 598. But that was an emergency ordinance. And that's the one that has now expired, and we need to reenact it today through this interim ordinance. The reason it's an interim is that we have a comp plan update underway. We can now actually weave all of this into the comp plan update, come back through the Plan Commission and you with a final ordinance in the future that does away with the emergency, the interim, and the regular, and puts it all together as one ordinance that's finally in our land use and development code. So again, today's is really a stopgap to continue things the way they have been. Nothing new. I assured the tribe's legal counsel of that yesterday, and they're fine with it. So I hope that gives you enough context to understand what's going on.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No. Okay. Is there anybody here who would like to speak for this? Anybody on the telephone?
Yeah, a couple people on Zoom, Chairman, but I believe it's just staff.
Okay. So no one that you're aware of who wants to speak for that? Anyone who wants to speak against this? Anybody online or the phone, you think?
Oh, that's AT&T's attorney.
Okay. All right. Well, then at this point, I would suggest, because of the issue that we have with the ability to get in, that we continue testimony to a date certain to March 27th at 10 a.m.
Would you like a motion?
Yes.
I move that we continue the hearing for ORA 24-0004, the interim ordinance minimum lot within CDA Tribal Reservation, to March 27th at 10 a.m.
Second.
Commissioner Eberline? Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chair Matari?
Aye. Motion carries. Next up are deliberations. The first item is VAR24-0013 Integra 1. It's an action item. And who will we have to discuss that?
Hi, Board of County Commissioners. For the record, Justice Mac George, planner with Community Development. I have the presentation ready for you. This proposal is before you is a request for a front yard variance to construct a garage with a 0-foot setback. I have a presentation. I just want to confirm with you, would you like to hear the presentation, or otherwise I can and stand for any questions.
Would anyone up here like to see the presentation?
I would only because it's your first one. I don't want you getting off that easy.
Yep.
There you go.
Go for it.
You have two.
All right. So before you is a variance request, Integra 1 LLC, for a 25-foot variance request to the front yard setback to establish a 0-foot setback. It's a shoreline property on Hayden Lake. However, the dwelling is situated adjacent to East Upper Hayden Lake Road. Here is a visual aerial image. The existing garage is situated in the public right-of-way on the right, stepped up above the house. There are 4 photos that kind of give you a visual what the situation is like. Top left is where the garage is, situated above the house, taken from the house. The photo on the right is looking straight at the garage. The bottom left is looking above the garage toward the lake, and then you can see the lakeside facing the house. The zoning map, it is zoned restricted residential, and the box above it are the standard setbacks for the restricted residential zone. Here's a site plan. As you can see, the areas shaded in red is where the existing garage is on the left in the public right-of-way today, and the house that's existing since 1973. In black, the proposal is to demolish the garage, and the area highlighted in yellow would be the proposed building site for a new garage, fully out of the right-of-way, potentially with a 0-foot setback. Also highlighted in red is just where the applicant informed us that they would like to expand their residence. It's in the site plan, but it's not part of the variance proposal because it'll meet all setbacks. Public agencies, the City of Hayden, it is within their area of city impact. They approved the proposal. They did recommend a setback overlay zone because this request is so common in that area. Internally, we are starting that process. North Kootenai Water District, Hayden Lake Sewer District approved the request. Panhandle Health District deferred to the Sewer District. Lakes Highway approved. Northern Lakes Fire approved. And the Building Division just approved the project with their requirements for building. Innovista also approved the project. One public comment in support of the request. And staff have found that the application meets all the requirements, that there is an undue hardship based on the narrowness and shallowness of the site. There is also slope conditions. And some context is the proposal had actually been formally approved, I believe, in 2013 for a similar request. However, it had expired because they didn't follow up on that request. Overall, the request is not in conflict with the public, and community development supports the request, and the hearing examiner has also recommended approval below. Here's the site plan, and I stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions?
More of kind of like a clarification, just making sure. So by approving this variance, it actually is a benefit because it will take something out of the right-of-way, even though we'll have a 0-foot setback. So,
That is correct.
okay. Yeah, I'm in favor.
Commissioner Eberline?
I too.
All right, well, I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve VAR 24-0013 Integra 1.
Second.
Commissioner Eberline?
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chair Matari?
Aye, motion carries. Nice job. Next up, MSP 24-0003, Poplar Estates at English Point, and I have Vlad Finkel.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Vlad Finkel with Kootenai County Community Development. While staff has prepared a PowerPoint presentation for you this morning, there is an email from the applicant in your file for a request of a public hearing before you due to the fact that the hearing examiner recommended denial of the request. The applicant has made some valid arguments why the public hearing should be granted, and it is up to you to make that decision this morning.
Do we want to see the, obviously, the presentation?
it is up to you.
I don't necessarily need to see it because I am usually in favor of granting due process and granting that. So I just was looking at June to make sure that I was going to be here on June 12th, which would, I think, coincide with what the applicants requested.
Commissioner Duncan, the applicant has stated that they're currently working with some jurisdictional agencies to resolve the issue. The soonest they would like to go or be comfortable with is June, but it's possible they may request a delay depending on the outcome of some other public hearings that they have to attend in order to make this a feasible project.
Okay.
So
So we can just say, just in the future. We don't have to.
Yeah, grant the request and then, set it for a date uncertain.
Okay.
Commissioner Eberline?
Fine.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move that we grant the request for a public hearing to a date uncertain for MSP 24-0003 Poplar Estates at English Point.
Second.
Commissioner Eberline? Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chair Matari?
Aye, motion carries. Next up, item 4, CUP 22-0004, SP 4430 Potlatch Hill, and Director Callahan.
Thank you, Commissioners. We followed up on your concerns about access to this site in the way of widening the road and so on and so forth. And we also followed up on the idea of fire hydrants and water to the site. And what we learned both from the Highway District, looking at the entrance to the road, and from the Fire District, who would traverse the road, that they are not supportive of any additional improvements. And so if you'll stay with me on that for a moment, when our own agencies are not supportive of that sort of thing, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to craft together a rational nexus to actually do it. So I'd ask that you let that piece go. And then similarly, for the water hydrants firefighting capacity, we learned from the fire district that there already are fire hydrants in the adjoining city subdivision, and that's from where they would fight the fire. So the fire district feels comfortable they have an adequate water supply for this.
Also a hydrant at the corner of Sky Harbor Drive and Potlatch Hill Road as well.
So in short, we feel like the issues you were concerned about are adequately covered at this time, and that no additional conditions need to be added, and just leave the original concept the way it was.
Sure. Go ahead.
Actually, I have a couple. I mean, the monopole design to match some of the other ones in the area, and then a security screen, which I think our regulations already say they have to have that.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'll defer to Ben on that level of detail.
Okay.
Right. And I think those two conditions would be reasonable. They're pretty common. And, even though it's fairly well obscured by vegetation anyway, but I think those two,
Are supportable.
yes, I agree.
Okay.
Commissioner Duncan, there is a requirement for a perimeter fence around the cell tower. There is an option to have a stealth mode monopole that is painted neutral tone color. So if you want to impose that as a requirement, that is certainly within the sideboards of the code.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
I'm fine with it. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, that's the very least I think we could, ask.
So it would be a modification to 8.11 and then a new 8.18.
Okay.
And I did confirm as a requirement,
8.16
the applicant is required to submit a preliminary structural analysis for a cell tower. They did submit one for a lattice design tower, but I spoke with the building official, and they advised me that if they do revise the design to a monopole, that the review of the structural analysis will be conducted at the time of building permit application.
Okay.
And just a reminder, the shot clock applies to that too, so a new shot clock applies to building permit application.
As far as the standards go, looking at, let's see, the overall design says all wireless communication facilities shall be of a design which best blends in with the surrounding area as determined by the board. With regards to fencing, a chain link fence no less than 6 feet in height from the finished grade shall be constructed around each siding area. The access shall be locked. So it doesn't necessarily say screened or site obscuring fencing, but that's certainly open to conditions. There does say, as far as landscape design, it says existing vegetation at the tower site shall be preserved to the maximum extent possible. Landscaping shall be placed completely around the siding except as required to access. So there's kind of a screening aspect of it through landscaping, but I mean, if you feel it's appropriate that site obscuring fence is appropriate, that's your prerogative as well.
Thoughts?
I suggested both.
What are the public comments on this?
Oh, hideously, overwhelmingly against, and we got shut down in the courts. We denied it, and the courts came and said, you cannot deny it, you must approve it. So we're here at the approval today.
And we had to approve it because we did not provide alternate sites, I believe, was part of the rationale.
That was part of it, and that was, and also that the court found that it would address a significant gap in coverage.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I can read the part of the order if you'd like that actually is what is ordering the court. It says, by denying AT&T CUP application to construct the proposed facility, the county has effectively prohibited AT&T from closing a significant gap in the provision of wireless services in violation of 47 U.S.C. 332 C7B12. The county shall therefore issue AT&T the requested conditional permit and grant all other authorizations necessary for construction and operation of the proposed facility.
Okay. Well, I'm good with the screened fence and the single pole. Commissioner Eberline?
Well, I guess I can use my AT&T.
Your phone.
So you want to make a motion
Sure.
with those conditions?
I move that we approve CUP 22-0004 SP 4430 Potlatch Hill with the conditions of monopole design and security screen in the fence.
Second.
Commissioner Eberline,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chair Matari.
Aye, motion carries. We have no business today, 10:20 a.m. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.